Killer Kyle. Hey, me Matt here, and welcome to WHEELZ of Fury. I'm me Matt, and we got Killer Kyle.
Hello!
And we got a special show, and I thought for the next couple of weeks, because there's really no WrestleMania, well, that's in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
How many weeks are we at?
It's about 25, 20, about 4, 3-ish days. So about 3 weeks.
Alright, so yeah. So I'll do something this week, and then next week, and then of course, what we'll do are best and worst WrestleMania matches. So, anyways, today we're gonna talk about, and we were just looking at a website on YouTube, Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
And this is 1979. And we talked about doing shows that we were originally going to talk about 1980, but it just seemed like it was different episodes mashed together. So we'll have to watch that again. But yeah, basically this was cool because this was when wrestling was an actual sport, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like, there was no bullshit, there was no filler, it was just fucking like in-ring action, and it was very cool.
One of the things I noticed from about 77 till maybe 85-ish was you'd have a match between, let's say, Pat Patterson and Blue Albano. Had to go on, they have a good match, and let's say Pat Patterson won. The announcer, whoever it was, would get in the ring, and they'd go, the time of the fall, 8 minutes and 35 seconds, your winner, Pat Patterson. And they stopped doing that after a while. I'm not exactly sure the reason for it, but there's one thing I noticed watching, like, old wrestling, is they give how long the match was.
Oh yeah. And also they would say, oh, in the blue trunks and the black pants.
Yeah.
And whatever, which was interesting as well. But you also, you know, get people on YouTube and they're bitching about, oh, the wrestlers don't have characters, like one names or one syllable. And it's like, okay, but you got Pat Patterson, Lou Albano, Ernie Ladd, Tony Atlas, Hulk Hogan, you know.
Randy Savage, Lanny Poffo, Hassan Arab.
Yeah, who later became Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about him too. But yeah, this was cool watching, and you know, what's cool about the '70s, especially, is you know it was real. Like
Yeah.
there was no bullshit. It was just if it was wrestling, it was wrestling. If it was
Oh, yeah.
boxing, it was boxing. You know, and so on and so forth. But you know, the TV shows were cool. Yeah, the music was definitely cool. A huge fan of a lot of music from that era, but also just the whole fact that you know the change in the future.
Right.
You know, the '80s kind of. Well, you know, I'm just gonna ramble about it, but basically, this was the decade of a lot of great stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
One thing I thought of though, we're going to be talking about a show from '79. That's like about 5 years before you were born, or like 10 before I was born.
my parents were married in '79. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so we have the Intercontinental Champion, Pat Patterson, who took on Mike Masters.
Yeah.
And this was a good match.
Yeah.
It's basically Pat Patterson when doing what I thought were stiff shots.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about stiff shots nowadays, it's not fair. And that's what makes it fake. I'm sorry, but stiff shots are more realistic. Yeah, they hurt a hell of a lot more, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat definitely was potatoing Mike a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of headlocks involved with his wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, anybody that is a huge fan of wrestling is familiar with Pat Patterson, you know, first ever Intercontinental Champion, had a really good feud with Sergeant Slaughter, and just one of those wrestlers that was overall a really good guy.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Mike Masters, I may have seen matches of his, but honestly can't really remember a lot of his matches.
Yeah, I'm not really all that familiar with Mike Masters myself.
But anyways, Pat Patterson won,
Yes.
and yeah, so that was cool. Also worth mentioning that Vince McMahon and Bruno Sammartino are on commentator.
Yep.
And this was due to the fact that Bruno Sammartino, I guess, was injured or something.
I think so, yeah.
So they put him in commentary, basically.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what they did with CM Punk, but anyways.
One thing I noticed listening to Bruno on commentary was he did a very good job, but it seemed like he was stumbling through his words sometimes.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's something like we do.
Yeah, sometimes.
But, yeah, I mean, that was Raw TV, too. I mean, also back then, it was also, you know, you didn't see, like, basically, it was like a house show, because there was no entrance music.
No.
And it was like one match after the other. So, that was really cool. Again, no filler, no nothing, no backstage interviews or whatever, but
And a lot of the times back then, matches ended with finishers that aren't really finishers nowadays.
yeah, for sure.
Like, okay, in this match, Pat Patterson beat Mike Masters with the Boston Crab.
Right.
That's typically a submission move nowadays. But there's a match later on that we'll get to where it ended with a non-traditional
Yeah.
finisher, let's say.
Well, yeah, and you know, the Boston Crab, even in the 90s, you had guys like Rick Martel or Raymond Rougeau
Yeah.
use it as a finisher. And it was like, you know, it's crazy nowadays to see a simple move that used to be a finisher back then.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe the suplex was a finisher of its own, which I think would be stupid, but
Well,
there it is.
the match with Larry Zbyszko and Billy Coleman ended with a suplex.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually the next one here.
No, the next one
Oh.
is Tony Atlas and Moose Monroe.
Yeah. So Tom Atlas looked a lot younger, obviously. You know, you recognize him as the first ever black tag team champions with Rocky Johnson.
Yeah.
And you have Moose Monroe from Canada.
Canada.
They don't say exactly where, but yeah, this was a pretty good match too. I mean, Tony Atlas won this match.
Yeah, he splashed the guy.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is that, I mean, back then, you didn't get a lot of kickouts. You know, it was
Yeah.
a splash or a clothesline and then a pin, and that's basically the end of the match.
Yeah.
But none of that. Afterwards, you have Tony Atlas out of the ring, and he goes, talks about whatever he talks about with Bruno Sammartino, and saying,
Well, Bruno asked him, like, Tony, you're Mr. USA, Mr.
Yeah.
Olympia, you got several bodybuilding championships. Does your training from being a bodybuilder help you with your wrestling? And Tony said, well, yeah, it does. It helps with strength, but there's a lot more to being a wrestler than being a boxer or being a hockey player or whatever.
right,
Like, he said, when you got two guys that are the same athleticism, same ability, same knowledge, same ring IQ, whatever, the stronger guy will generally win.
right,
But in a lot of cases, you need strength, you need speed, you need agility, you need athleticism, you need a whole bunch of other things to be a very good wrestler.
yes,
So that's what he was talking about. And for this period of time, I'm not exactly sure how long Tony had been in the wrestling business at this point, but he's very well spoken for himself.
oh yeah. And that's the thing, when you look at the wrestlers when they were younger, and I mean, yeah, they look different, obviously, but they might as well have spoken much better. I mean, when he came back in his later years in WWE, like managing Mark Henry, it
Right.
was, I mean, I can't remember, that was a long time ago, but, you know, it's a big difference.
Yeah. One thing I noticed, and I said to Matt, was back then Tony kind of had the afro, if
Yeah.
you will, but his build was a lot trimmer
Yeah,
than when he was partnered with Rocky Johnson. When he was partnered with Rocky Johnson, he looked the part of a power lifter, you could say.
yeah,
The rounded shoulders, the big biceps, the abs, the chest, the thick thighs, the muscular
Yes.
calves. This point, he kind of had the build of a regular wrestler, you could
yeah.
say.
And that's the thing with, you know, nowadays you have the chisel guys with the pecs and the whatever. And it's like, yeah, but back then it was more or less like an amateur wrestler. Or
Yeah.
a weightlifter, you know, guys that had a bit of a belly or big arms and, you know, whatever. They didn't really have the boobies on you. Or the pecs, or you know, the abs. That's what I
Yeah.
was looking for. But yeah, that's kind of what it was back then. I mean, you had Hogan and superstar Billy Graham and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Next we go on to Hassan Arab and Dominic Danucci.
Yeah, when you talk about World Wrestling Federation,
Yeah.
you got an Iranian guy versus an Italian guy.
Yep.
And of course, this Hussein will become,
Irish Sheik.
yeah,
Sheik
baby, got to learn to make you humble.
Yes.
Alright, number one, jabroni piece of shit. And of course, managed by Classy Freddie Blassie. And this was a good match too. You can notice the Middle Eastern boots with the point.
Yeah.
On Sheik, you have Dominic Danucci, who used the headlock pretty well,
Yes.
you know, and basically, yeah, I don't know what happened to him, but Iron Sheik obviously would go on to win the championship.
Yeah. I think, like, Dominic was a very good wrestler in this period of time. He probably retired or got injured, whatever the case may be. But probably his most noted claim to fame, if you will, after his wrestling career was training Mick Foley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Might have heard the name from somewhere, and that probably was it.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, the Iron Sheik won the match,
Yeah, right.
so
And then we go on to what we mentioned earlier, Larry Zbyszko and Bailey Coleman. Of course, Larry Zbyszko, very renowned name in the wrestling business.
yes.
Wrestled WWE in the 70s. He would do commentary for WCW
Yeah,
throughout the 90s.
he's a Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer. Of course, most notably mentioned was Larry getting trained by Bruno Sammartino.
Yes. And following not orders, but directions from Bruno. Like Bruno tells him what to do, and Larry uses that knowledge in the ring.
Yeah, when Larry was having the match with Billy, Vince asked Bruno, what attracted you to Larry and wanting to train him? And Bruno said he was determined. He would go to the arenas where I was wrestling and he'd ask me to watch him train and turn alongside me in the gym and just watch what he did. And Bruno was like, okay, and let him train and go to a gym, work out together, and watched him and liked what he saw, and they went from there.
Yeah. And, it's kind of a shame that Larry Zbyszko didn't become the champion.
Yeah.
But he did have some actual matches with Sammartino as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that was pretty cool just to hear another side of a story. Not only did they wrestle each other, but they also got trained by Bruno.
Yes.
So that was cool.
Of course, both of them being Pittsburgh boys.
Oh yeah, for sure. Wow. By way of Italy.
Yeah, Bruno came to America and lived in Pittsburgh from Abruzzi, Italy.
Yeah.
Larry, I'm sure, was born and raised in
In the States. Yeah.
Pittsburgh, but still.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah. And the final match on the card, Bobby Duncombe Jr. against Bill Berger, whatever, however you want to pronounce that.
Yeah.
This match was a very short match.
It was definitely interesting because you had Arnold Skolin fill in for Bruno. And so, first of all, Lou Albano was interviewed by Vince, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, Lou Albano was interviewed by Vince, and Albano was talking about how he at one point managed the Valiants,
Right.
Jimmy, Johnny, and Jerry.
Yeah.
And then, he says, oh, I fired them, and they haven't been on a winning streak ever since, and in Madison Square Garden, I'm gonna be going up against Jimmy Valiant or Valentine, and I'm gonna beat him up, and I'm gonna pulverize him, and I'm gonna humiliate him, embarrass him, and he's gonna look up at me and go, Captain, no more, please stop beating me up. And you know what I'm gonna do when he says that? I'm gonna spit in his face. Like, well, back then they didn't hold back with their feelings, let's say.
And I mean, that's the old school way. I mean, back then, that's what they did. Now, I mean, I think Dean Ambrose is the closest to that.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you got this match, and of course, Albano's in the corner of Duncan, and Arnie's on commentary with
What are you doing here? Get out!
Yeah. What are you doing here, you low-life scum? Get out of here. And of course, Arnold scolding's like, don't worry about what I'm doing here. You go worry about your man in the ring. And then Bobby's beating away on Bill, and the match will last all of about maybe a minute and a half, roughly.
Yeah.
Bobby hits him with the bulldog and gets the pin, and then afterwards, Bill ends up on the outside, and Albano starts wailing away on Bill, and then Bobby gets out of the ring, and they're double teaming him, and Skull is like, I can't sit here anymore, I gotta help the kid. So
Yeah.
of course he gets up and goes over, and
They beat the shit out
they
of him.
both start wailing away on Skull and put him in the ring and double teaming on him, and
So I thought, that didn't last very long.
and here comes
Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund dressed in a suit and trying to help his longtime manager, and they start double teaming in on Backlund, and then out comes Ivan Putski, Tito Santana, and Ted DiBiase to chase off Duncan and Lou, and it's like, oh, Skullin's down in the far corner, he hasn't moved, and of course, Backlund's on his hands and knees trying to get over to where Skullin is, and like, alright, Skullin's up on his feet, it looks like he's gonna be okay, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Fade to blue, not black.
I know, right? But, I mean, that's the thing about this time of era. It was simple. There was no real cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way it was. And that's very cool. And that's kind of why we should do these kinds of videos, too. Because it's great to, like you said last week, you know, we do WCW pay-per-views, and we do ECW pay-per-views, and WWF pay-per-views, but to go back into the 70s and the 80s, more so the early 80s, you know, that's pretty cool, and I love doing that myself. So we should start doing more of that.
And there's nothing saying we have to keep it strictly WWF related, if you will. We can go NWA, we can go AWA, we can maybe go South Wrestling, Florida Championship Wrestling.
I used to watch AWA a few times back then.
Yeah.
In high school, I was on. They had a lot of cool wrestlers there as well. Mad Dog Vachon, the Crusher, the Butcher, Candlestick now. No, but
Butcher, the Baker, and the Candlestick Maker.
Medusa, a lot of good stuff.
Medusa with chili.
But we have to do more of that.
Well, for sure.
We'll think about it down the road eventually. But next week, because I said we were going to do it this week, is Philadelphia Spectrum in 1980.
Yep.
And, you know, just kind of thinking about those were long matches. Like, well, it was, I don't know how many episodes this guy put on, but it was pretty long, and I didn't know the dates, but I knew the year. It was like 1980, then he talks about December So I'm assuming it's 1979. So I'm not sure, but we'll have to.
I'm pretty sure the one we watched last week was pretty much the new year, January of 1980.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll look forward to that. And then, of course, like we mentioned earlier in the video, we're going to talk about the week before WrestleMania. We're going to talk about the best and worst WrestleMania matches. Because
Right.
last year we talked about best and worst WrestleMania, so this should be easier.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So, for me and Matt, this is Killer Kyle. And we will see you next time. Deuces.